Thanks for joining today's Snapshot for Tuesday, June 16th, for the people of Dr. Martin Luther Church. The Lord be with you. Today is the 100th birthday of John Howard Griffin, who was born in Texas as a white man. But in 1959, he became a black man and wrote about it in a significant and important book. But let me give you a little background first. John Howard Griffin was educated in France. And while he was there before World War II, he smuggled out a number of Jews to protect them from the persecution by the Nazis. He was always concerned with empathy for other people. In World War II, after he had gone to the South Pacific, he became blind. His sight was lost in a blast during a military event in the South Pacific. While he was blind, he converted to Roman Catholicism and thought a lot about the superficial nature of our relationships based on what we see. Well, amazingly, when he got back from the South Pacific, blood supply to his optic nerve was restored, and suddenly he could see again. And when he could, he realized that outward appearances were awful in terms of it categorizing people according to color line. So in 1959, amazingly, he became black. He took medicine, he took dyes, radiation, and instead of crossing the color line from black to white, which was the usual color line that was crossed, he crossed from white to black, traveling the South for months, experiencing what black people experience, because a friend of his said, "You'll never know what it's like to be a black man unless you wake up in my skin." So he did. He said in his book, Black Like Me, very famous book, and especially important because it was written around the time of the initiation of the Civil Rights Movement. He said, smiles turn to frowns and welcome turned to fear. Well, he went around to college campuses speaking about his experience. I remember reading the book when I was a freshman, I believe, in college, and he came and spoke at our campus. It was very moving. And he talked about how doors were closed to him that used to be open. Well, he was treated as a result of this with a lot of hostility. He was even hanged in effigy. And he was also criticized by the black communities who said, "We've been telling you for years what it's like to be a black person in the United States. Suddenly now when a white person becomes black, you listen to him, but not to us." It was a very interesting time. And indeed, the black people were right about that. But also, he was a person who was committed to racial justice and did it for a great reason that he became black, I should say. He died fairly young, died in 1980, 40 years ago. So he died at age 60, largely from suffering the consequences of the treatments he underwent to become a black person. Let's close with this well-known verse from Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. God bless you today.